to the show. If this is your first time joining us on the show, it's a live show where we talk about the news and entertainment and everything else that's going on in the world. I use a voice changer to protect my identity for various reasons. And I play the keys. I play the keys while talking. These are live chords. And just like with this music, I don't know exactly which chord is coming next, but I think that's what keeps life interesting. You don't want to know exactly what's coming next. And that's not usually how you get the best experiences, the best product, let's say. You gotta keep it real. All right. So what's happening, party people? It is probably the middle of the night in America. Well, I guess it is actually. This whole channel, for me, it's a lot of different things, but part of it is like a challenge in discipline. Trying to get up in the morning and do my thing properly, get it done right. But, well, that's one aspect of this show. I'm trying to make this show a little bit more about the events, because, well, as interesting as my experiences might be to myself, and, well, the occasional anecdote might bring some insight into your life and what's going on in the news, I still think, we can learn a lot from looking at this stuff. So let's just dive right in. So this was kind of tripping me out. This is a crazy story. I'm just gonna play this. We have the subtitles. I'm just gonna turn the audio off. But let's check this out. South Korean Samsung protester living in the sky. For nearly a year, 61-year-old Kim Yong-hee has been living on a 20-meter high traffic tower in the center of Seoul. Right in the center of the main town. It's the latest in a quarter century of protests Mr. Kim has made fighting the workers' rights for Samsung. This is in the BBC, but I really haven't heard about this before. This guy has been up in this tower for like a full-on year, and it's been doing other protests for even longer, it looks like. Right? He said he was fired from Samsung 30 years ago when he tried to form a trade union, and he's been protesting ever since, right? It's like with a lot of these gigantic mega corporations, they just have so much power and control that they're not going to let people unionize and form workers' rights and all that, right? Interesting symbolism though, because I'm always fascinated with the symbols, right? He's been up here for a year. This is before this whole what word do I use actually for the disease that is ripping around the world? I need like a code word, CV. Use your voltage meter, CV. Right. What I'm trying to say, he's wearing this mask, and I guess he's been wearing this mask for a year to help him survive living up in this tower in a polluted area. But at the same time, it is that same symbol. I've been seeing masks in a lot of film and television recently, and that's just the nature of our reality. I don't know if it's all really just planned out and on purpose, and these symbols are put there by some programmer or person that's deciding all these things, or whether that's just how reality works. It pushes and pulls these symbols out of people. And then again, he might just be wearing a mask to try to save his health. But in the end, this is the grand symbol, I think, for this era, is this masked face, right? The sort of loss of humanity. And it's an interesting story, because this is like this is not cool anymore. This protesting and trying to form unions and actually organize for workers' rights. It's something we need now more than ever, especially since these gigantic companies are consolidating and are set to sort of inherit the world. They're already basically running everything. But I see it going forward, and this has been hinted at in many forms of fiction, that as this crisis gets more complicated and more natural disasters start to occur, that governments all around the world are going to start to crumble and collapse, and it's going to be these big mega corporations that have all the infrastructure, power, control, and human resources to actually come up with the goods and save everybody. And yeah, then I'm guessing when Samsung is really sort of morphed into the nation state, right? When the Korean government fully collapses, and it's left up to Samsung to feed and clothe and support the people of Korea. Well, you better bet that this guy is not going to be up in this thing anymore at that point. I mean, I'm just being honest. So it is interesting to see this symbol, this idea of this guy up in the tower protesting. And he seems like a nice guy, seems like a decent enough guy. And I don't know, Samsung, do I have anything from Samsung? Most people do have some sort of device or something from Samsung. But like with all these companies, it's a lot more than just like a phone or a TV screen or something like that. It's basically like a nation state at that point, right? Having their own banks and all their support and all that kind of stuff. And I see this is expanding definitely as times go forward, and because that's what happens. It is like a country, entire lives, and give everything to these companies. And right, they're obviously not going to be supporting workers' rights and all that kind of fun stuff, right? Okay, so I think we got the basic vibe on, what's his name, Kim Jong-hee, which is also an interesting phrase, right? But just it's a trippy symbol, right? Have this giant tower here and have him in there, right, with all this plastic, and I guess he's got the flag, the Samsung flag. And I'm sure if you live in Seoul, you know about this guy, and this is a pretty common thing, but I guess I'm hearing about it for the first time. But what this made me think of, like, instantaneously was, I'm not sure if you caught this one. It was on HBO, a show called The Leftovers. And let me see if I can get a good full screen image. Man, I totally hate looking for stuff on the internet live, because it never really like works exactly the way I would want it to be. But yeah, check this out. It looks like we got this on screen. So this is Leftovers season 3. If you don't know the show, it's the basic concept that like 2 or 3% of humanity just vanishes. They evaporate in 1 second. Which in hindsight has a lot of similarities with a form of disease or something, right? That is also disappearing people, basically. But in the show, they vanish like instantaneously and calls everything into question, makes everybody question reality, whether God is real, and all those kind of fun things that shows just love to have us question. And in the 3rd season, when it really starts to heat up and it really is a fantastic show. It wasn't really watched enough by the masses, but there's a lot of truth in there. And this is tripping me up, because in the 3rd season, this is one of the main symbols. There's also a dude that climbs up a tower, and he's totally living in that tower. And you can see it's I guess pretty small, but you see that he's sort of like a Jesus figure, right? He's got all the beard and everything, looking up into the sky, and he's a little more, let's say, mystical than Mr. Kim Jong Hee. But at the same time, it really is exactly the same symbol, and this guy is a little bit more like, right? He's waiting for the second coming and that whole fun aspect, which doesn't actually happen in the show. But the Leftovers, in this particular character symbol is from a couple years ago, and that is what's sort of tripping me out right now. The nature of this iterative or self-replicating reality, where before this disease goes down, every single show on the map has some sort of mask or somebody wearing a mask or some mention of a disease or et cetera, et cetera. And right, I guess it's just the question to all of you out there as well, like, how scripted is this reality? And is that something we can really even figure out? And right, why would you even ask that question? Does it matter? And I guess it depends on who you talk to. For some people, that seems like a waste of time thinking about this kind of stuff. But for me, I don't know. I think this is the only way that you even attempt to hint at the approach to maybe possibly thinking about what is actually happening in this reality, right? And would make sense that you would have to turn a couple strange corners to actually head in that direction, because what's directly out in front of you is not going to be the truth. It's got to be fake. But people on the internet, especially in these communities, talk a lot about this kind of predictive, iterative stuff, right? I Pet Goat is a huge thing in this community, and that's a lot of the talk, that like, right, here's the symbol of the Notre Dame Cathedral falling, and it has exactly the same contours and curves that were seen on that particular camera angle shot of that building burning, right? And how could I Pet Goat actually know where that person is going to set up their camera to shoot that building that's burning down years in the future? And then it really starts to make you think, right? Do they have some sort of actually predictive power, right? Is there something, some AI system or something advanced that can actually get them to see into the future directly? And is that what's at play here? Or is it more that through just the power of media and the whole thing in general, that they know if they put certain images out there that and this is also how well they're just able to predict all of human behavior and network it together and crunch all that data, that if they put out an image of somebody doing this in this certain way, that, I mean, who knows if Mr. Yi actually saw that show and it seeded into his subconscious, and then a couple, years later he was like, well, I'm just going to get up in that tower and start rocking out. Which sounds crazy, right? That sounds crazy that this guy would be, his whole action and experience would be influenced by something in media, and that, right? And then the BBC comes back and reports on it, that all of this could be just so tightly controlled, and I really wouldn't put it past them, because having all the data on us, they really do know exactly sort of how people behave, and they really can predict what you're going to do on any given day and at any given time, which is definitely creepy. And I didn't get a chance to pull in the frames, but I'm watching through Westworld, also on HBO, and it has a lot of these same concepts and symbols. That's sort of the theme of the whole season, is that there is this AI, this ultra computer that is sort of predicting everybody's behavior and keeping people locked in their caste or their path, right? So if you're a criminal, then you're going to stay a criminal. Or if you're, a rich person doing good works and fake charity, that you'll get to keep doing that. And I guess that's sort of all I wanted to mention about this bizarre connection. I mean, later in the show, they do go up in the tower. It's a huge part of that season, right? This tower and this idea of waiting for God up on the platform, which, I mean, I always sort of wish I didn't grow up with the Bible or any of that. I really got to do some more research in that area. But somebody feel free to tell me in actual religious doctrine what this symbol means or has power. Is there somebody in the Bible that actually gets up in a tower and is shouting about? I'm sure there is. Can't think about it right now. It's a trip though, right? I think so. All sorts of other crazy stuff is going on. I mean, the world is just a vampire. An endless stream of chaos. Or is it, right? That's the big question. I guess that's what we're talking about on today's show. What is it? Is it chaos? Or is it tightly controlled? And sometimes, especially with this channel, it does feel pretty tightly controlled. Strangest things happen on this channel, depending on what subjects I get into, which for such a small little group of people here, it really doesn't seem like it matters that much. But that's probably just my perspective, right? If I actually was the grand AI and could see all the connections in the world, there may be a huge incentive and need to suppress small channels like this, because that's what unravels the whole thing, and that's just what we can't have that happening. So right, feel free to, I don't know, you can click the like button, because they can't exactly like straight up go out and censor everything. They have to do all this decimal point rounding and a soft suppression, at least at this point. So, right, your clicking that like actually does a lot more than you would think. So I guess we are speaking about knowledge. And what if you were a giant company like Johnson & Johnson, and you were making this talcum powder to put on people's babies, and then you found out, or maybe even knew from the very beginning, that talcum powder was totally bad for people, giving people cancer and stunting growth and having all these other negative effects. What would you do as that company, right? You're making a ton of money on that product. Do you just discontinue it right away? Do you pull it from the shelves, make an announcement? It's probably not going to be very good press. You could also just wait, keep making that money, and then eventually when it comes out, well, you can decide to permanently discontinue it. But then sort of deflect and misdirect, saying, well, it's not really because it's bad, it's because, we want to prioritize high demand products. And people just don't really get what's going on here. We're attributing that to misinformation. Can I do a highlight? No, I can't, because I need a pro account. The nature of our reality, all these like locked walls and locked gardens. But this shouldn't really be surprising to anybody, I guess, especially regular viewers of this show, that a company would withhold information about having a damaging effect on the populace. And then I always got to ask myself, is this just because they wanted to keep money and not have bad PR for their company, or is it something they were legit, maliciously, actually doing on purpose? And they knew from the very get-go. They even had a little station there in their production line that was adding asbestos. Now, I'm not saying I don't have proof for that exactly, right? And I do bet you they made a lot more than 750 million off this baby powder that they had to pay out to those cancer patients. But that's sort of how these stories often go, right? There might be some plaintiffs, some people that get some money. It was just like with Samsung. The Johnson & Johnson is just such a gigantic, amorphous company that, right, you take down their baby powder, well, it's not really going to completely affect their bottom line. They're in so many different areas of business that you're just not going to stop them. At least not with the baby powder. You're going to have to come after them with a couple other things. It can't just be the baby powder. But this article was from RT, so you should not trust it. Those dirty Russians. Just can't trust them. Oh, what's up? We got Eric Elliott on the chat. Is it your morning time? I'm gonna have to go to work in a little bit. Let's try to get some more of these smooth stories, noob stories. So I just thought this was kind of funny. I mean, this picture is a good symbol, and I guess I'm always trying to look at something simple, a picture, a headline or something, and try to tease out the reality from there. So we have some people getting yeah, exactly. It is 3:33. Nice. 3:33, everybody. Let's celebrate. That is the nature of our digital reality that I'm pretty sure we live in. These repeating numbers calling our attention constantly. So there's just so much fear and worry going around about being close to other people, right? It almost doesn't have anything to do with any actual disease. It's much more about this bubble that has now been placed around you, right? Whether you like it or not, you have this 6-foot bubble that goes all around you, and right, just like some praying mantis or something, you're supposed to have these like feelers out to see if anybody actually like broaches that bubble, and once they do, you're supposed to get all freaked out and a little worried. Hey, what's up, Matt and AZ? Yeah, looks like we got some people here in the chat. It's, if I do the show at the middle of the night, I totally understand that the chat won't be as active, but I appreciate you guys just showing up. The discipline. Anyways, so here's a story. Here's a story from good old New York Times about how everybody, right, hates the T-Man, because that's the only article that you're ever going to read for the rest of all of eternity, is how bad this monstrous person is. And they're saying, well, yeah, this dude, he doesn't care. He's just going golfing and tweeting and chilling on the weekend, just like the rest of everybody. And it's sort of hilarious to me still that he can get everybody all pissed off about what he does when he's supposedly supposed to be working, and all these comparisons to who works harder, I guess. That's a whole nother just nonsense, boring topic, right? But here's some protesters outside. I guess they do technically have their masks on, right? But they're standing, it's that bubble that I was talking about. They're standing super close together. These are two pairs of people that are standing directly next to each other in public. And I guess I don't know the backstory about these people. They may actually come from the same household, and that's okay, I guess, that they're standing so close together. But with all this virtue signaling that's going down these days, and who is, more careful than thou, the most paranoid people, I guess, at least on my Facebook, seem to be the winners, right? People admonishing and reprimanding people for going outside, and then also just standing too close together, not having good masks, and all that kind of, new version of virtue signaling that we're dealing with these days. And right here we have some people yelling at Trump, right? That one sign says, I care, do you? ? 100,000 dead. And they're doing their part by standing too close to each other and holding a sign. And I mean, I guess them being out there does show they care. But I'm just, I guess, playing devil's advocate here and being like, well, that's not a very good symbol, right? If you really did care, if you really wanted to show people how this goes, you should have brought some like long sticks to hold your sign up so you guys could display proper social distancing. And this, I guess, this is probably like a mom and his kid. I don't know. I guess I can't see directly into these people's eyes, but this is decidedly lower effort. These people on the left, their sign just says liar. But they are also standing extremely close together. They seem to be wearing sandals, and they got the masks on. But I see this behavior as horribly irresponsible, at least from the perspective, I guess, that we're supposed to be having. And I don't know if my point is coming across, but right, these are a bunch of, by their own rules and admissions, extremely hypocritical people yelling at the other guy for being hypocritical. And just the whole thing is just mind-meltingly like shoddy propaganda, basically. But I guess that's how far along we are at this stage, that the selective reality is just so easy. It's so easy to create and select and form your own reality and leave out the stuff that just doesn't work for you. You know what I mean? Welcome, Veronica. I always love to say your name is kind of awesome, Veronica Bartolini with Unchained Hearts. I'm into symbols, and the symbol of the Unchained Heart is fantastic. I commend you for putting that energy out into the world. Now, is this going to show up with the pictures and everything? Okay, so this article was kind of tripping me out to coronavirus. This is from the BBC again. Coronavirus, how scared should you be? And right before we even get into the article, what do you want to bet? That you should be pretty scared. Not like heart-stoppingly scared, but you should be pretty scared. And right, it's the unseen deadly pathogen we cannot spot, and then when it hits, we cannot treat. Oh, wait, let me get some scary chords. Scary virus. What are we gonna do, guys? I think I'm just gonna stay home today. Sorry, I got a little dramatic there, but that's what this news is supposed to make you. It's supposed to make you get the feelings. And I don't know. I had this vague memory of the past where the news was about conveying information and giving you some facts about what's going on in the world. And yeah, I remember that that's not the case anymore. That everything is emotion based and trying to trigger you into a certain emotional pathway. And if that's not proof enough for some advanced manipulative AI that is funneling us towards these paths, then I'm not sure what else is. Maybe the constant numbers in the articles, that might be also proof of the AI. The need to balance competing risks, right? Because this is the core part of this article that I really want to call attention to. Because this is going to be the attitude going forward. Why you should not expect to be 100% safe. you should not expect to be 100% safe. And that is going forward, right? That's how this all has sort of shaken down. And I think that was also sort of the big grand plan from the beginning, right? It's all of these treatments that they're testing out, resmetivirine, chlorine, all of those different things, they're not really super working, and they're probably not going to make a couple bucks for these drug companies, but in the end, I don't think they're going to solve the crisis. And any sort of actual injection, that good old V word that we love to talk about, that's not going to be coming anytime soon. And if it does, which it probably will, it's probably going to be in the form of that sort of flu injection where it sort of works and you have to get a new one every year, and it really starts to damage people over time. But that's probably also years out. And I'm realizing that is really good for the psychological war that is going on, that is being waged against us. Oh, damn. And it looks like I'm wondering if this is going to come through on the feed or in the video, because, yeah, it looks like my internet just dropped. Or at least the stream itself. I'm back in. Oh, it looks like we're back in now, but very interesting. I wonder if I said something that was going a little too far. I'm wondering, maybe I just went a little bit too far there, talking about the crisis, right? Because I think I tend to forget, and maybe you do as well. You're only supposed to talk about this subject if you are an expert, okay? I really hope you don't forget that.
That's right. Are you a COVID expert? If you're not, well then shut the hell up, you don't know what you're talking about. You shouldn't be talking about infectious diseases if you don't understand what those are, or even if you understand, if you're not a doctor, if you're not a doctor, if you're not a doctor, then epidemiology, then you should know and open your mouth to discuss the crisis. Just stop talking about.
All right, damn, dude. I'd love to spend some more time with you guys, but that's on me. I gotta get the discipline. I gotta get the power to basically get my ass out of bed and get on this stream with you guys, because, well, it's fun. It's fun for me, and maybe it's not directly contributing to my proper career out there in the real life. Maybe it's possibly taking away from it, just based on the time that I put into this channel. But right, it's people like Veronica and Eric Elliott and all you guys that, right, it feels like you get me on a certain level, and that is ultra rare, super rare, and increasingly just evaporating out of this reality. So I'm just gonna keep coming back. I can't deny it. It's like a compulsion for me. And now, because usually, right, I would like to leave a little bit more time and hear from you guys, if there's anything specifically right now on this day that you're going through, or if there's a news article or something, right? Because I think that's it. I feel like I'm in school for myself, It's like, how can you get about the reality? What is the best way? And I've found you got to do research, right? You got to get out there. You gotta you got to listen to people and not just instantly assume what's in their hearts and minds, right? You really got to do that research and try to keep going back to the blankest slate that you can come up with, right? We're always going to have some form of bias, but I honestly think, yeah, that's how you got to figure that one out. That's how you got to figure that one out. So, yeah. But until I really put the money where my mouth is, and we get the a little routine going here, right? I don't expect you guys to start just gushing from your hearts, but I still would like to plant that seed, right? That I think this show is already better. I mean, that's why it's live with you guys here in the chat, and right, being able to look over and see what you guys are talking about. But I'd love to see you all playing a larger role. So, right, you can send me an email. Some people send me emails, which I think is awesome. You can also just write in the chat, and whatever it is, just try to communicate, because, right, this is the last part of human history, I think, where we're going to be able to use this technology to freely communicate with each other without being completely censored. So let's try and take advantage. All right, I'm out of here. Keep it real. Keep it
real, dogs. No, it's not clear footage. I wish I had some advanced cameras, but it's just a